Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us today for this month's Parent Cafe. I hope y'all are ready. You have your lunches and you are ready to receive some fantastic information. Today, we have GCAP in the building, well, online, to give us some amazing information. Now, GCAP is the Georgia Campaign for the Adolescent Power and Potential. Their mission is to improve the overall health and well being of young people in Georgia and to ensure a more powerful future for us all. Listen, with no further ado, I have Miss Erin and Mr. Lee here to give y'all an abundance of information today. Hi, Erin. Hey, Mr. Lee. How are y'all doing today?
Hi, I'm doing well. How are you?
I
Awesome.
am well, thank you. Hey, Mr. Lee, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
I'm well. Thank you. Thank you. I thank y'all so
Awesome.
much for taking out the time to come online, to join us online today, to spread
Mhm.
more awareness and to give us more information about GCAP and specifically about the topic that y'all are going to be sharing about today. Um, Again, thank you. Thank you for having us. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for being a part of this.
Thank you
Thank,
for having us.
thank you for having us.
You're welcome. And so, whenever you're ready, Miss Erin, you can take us away.
Okay. Well, hello. Hi, I'm Erin. I am excited to be here. I work for GCAP as a training and technical assistance coordinator. And this is what I do. I go around doing workshops and trainings for youth, youth serving professionals, and for parents. So I'm really excited to be here. And of course, I'm joined by D. Lareg, and I'll let him introduce himself.
Awesome. My name is D. Lareg Lee. I am the Training Technical Assistance Coordinator for the CBI Community-Based Initiative Team at GCAP. I'm excited to be here as well, and I can't wait to present.
All right. So our topic for today is human papillomavirus, also known as HPV. This is a virus that we're seeing more frequently, and so we are trying to raise awareness about the virus itself and other factors involved. So today, during our session, we're just going to describe the sexually transmitted infection known as human papillomavirus, explore methods of prevention and treatment, and then we'll discuss a little bit about Georgia's HPV data as it stands today. Okay, so I have just a quick little icebreaker. Of course, I won't be able to see all of your responses, but feel free to respond to the icebreaker and participate. And then we will move into what HPV is, prevention and treatment, local data, and then if we'll have time for questions, we'll definitely circle to the questions at the end. And so our group agreements are always to be respectful, be engaged, and engage in self care. So everybody in this space is welcome in this space. And so we're respectful of all people. We want you to be engaged in the topic and we want you to practice self care. If you need to step away for a moment, feel free, do what you need to do. And a little saying, you get in what you put in. So I'm sorry, you get in what you put in. You get out what you put in. So whatever you put into this today, that's what you'll get out of it. And I hope that that is a lot. Our icebreaker for today is how are you feeling today? It's very simple, very straightforward. Pick the color that best represents your mood. If you have young kids or even older kids and you've seen Inside Out 2, we've got all of our different emotions going on here. I think today, how I'm feeling is yellow. Yeah. Happy. I'm feeling joyful, content. Nothing crazy going on. You know, I'm excited to be here. So yeah, yellow is definitely the color I would use to describe myself. Um, Neil, right? Are you still there?
I'm here.
What
I
color?
would agree. I would agree. I'm yellow as well.
Yellow. Okay.
Yeah,
Just curious, seeing where you're at. And so yeah,
absolutely.
I'm gonna move to the next slide. So as you're thinking through how you're feeling today, let's talk about what. Oh, I got a response that popped
Yes.
up on my screen from Miss
Shay.
Shay
Yeah,
Ross.
Miss Shay Ross. Yeah. She said yellow as well.
Yellow. We're all feeling pretty happy today. That's good.
Right.
That's good. As you guys respond, I'll be sure to read them. But I'm going to go ahead and move on. That way we're not waiting on any responses. So I have another yellow popped up
Yes.
now. So what is HPV? Let's talk about it. HPV is human papillomavirus. It is the most common STI in the US. There are many types of HPV, and some types of HPV can cause problems such as genital warts and cervical cancers and things like that. I would like to point out that HPV is different than HIV and HSV, which is herpes. And so please do not get HPV confused with HIV or HSV because those are very different viruses. Okay. According to the CDC, there are about 43 million HPV infections in 2018, many of them among people in their late teens and early 20s. 43 million people is a lot of infections that we're seeing, and we're seeing that number continue to grow. This is the most recent statistic according to the CDC, but I'm sure as they continue to track it, we'll have some more updated information as time goes on. And again, pointing it out that it's in the late teens, early 20s, right? So young people. HPV is spread through having vaginal, anal, or oral sex with someone who has the virus. And a person with HPV can pass the infection to someone else even when they are asymptomatic. So meaning even if you're not showing any symptoms, even if you don't know that you have HPV, you can still pass it to someone else. And so it's very important that you're getting continuous screenings to ensure your health and safety when it comes to sexual activity. Because again, even without symptoms, you could still have HPV or pass it to someone else. All right. And we are here at the next slide, which is HPV prevention. And I'm going to pass it on to DeLareg. So now that we understand the virus a little bit better, I'm going to let him kind of explain some of the prevention methods that we have for HPV.
Absolutely. Thank you, Aaron. So we're going to go through, like Aaron said, go through these HPV preventions. We're going to look at 3 of them, which happens to be vaccines, routine screening, and also abstinence and safe sex. So we're going to look through these. So we're going to talk about vaccinations first. So the HPV vaccine is safe. So those vaccines happen to be Gardasil, Gardasil 9, and Cervarix. I can't say it, Cervarix, Cervix. So those are the 3 vaccines that young preteens between the ages of 11 and 12, boys and girls, are recommended to take. It is also recommended for everyone through the age of 26 that is not already vaccinated. So those are the 3 vaccines that are suggested by the CDC and our other health organizations. Again, Gardasil, Gardasil 9, and Cervix is also those vaccines. So when it comes to our routine screenings, am I in charge of the slide or just making sure? No. So you can go to the next one. Awesome. So the next one happens to be just simply routine screening. So people in their early 20s, especially women, are encouraged to get screened for cervical cancer. Routine screenings help to prevent cervical cancer. So again, vaccinated in the preteens, boys and girls. If they're not vaccinated or if they are vaccinated, the next stage is to just simply be routine screen, especially in the early 20s for cervical cancer. Our next one happens to be abstinence and safe sex. So abstinence and safe sex. So that comes down to abstinence. If anybody in the chat could just tell me what is abstinence, that would be great. But HPV prevention, condoms can be used as a protective measure against HPV. So understand that condoms are not 100% effective towards HPV. So I didn't see anybody put anything in the chat, but abstinence is just not having anal, oral, or vaginal sex. So they're not having sex orally, vaginally, or anally. So abstinence. So abstinence is the only 100% way to not transmit or get HPV. But condoms can be used as a protective measure, but condoms are not 100% effective towards the HPV virus. So how do you know if you have HPV? Which is a great question. So there's no test to find out if a person has HPV. So like there's a test for gonorrhea, there's a test for syphilis, there's a test for HIV, but there's no test for HPV. However, that's why the screenings are so important. The person can be screened, a female body individual can be screened for cervical cancer or other cancer indicators, but there's no test to say this person has HPV. But the tests are not recommended for men, adolescents, or women under the age of 30. These tests are not recommended for it. But again, there are screenings for cervical cancer, but there are no tests for the HPV virus. So let's talk about treatments for HPV. So just like there are no tests, there are no treatments for the virus itself. However, there are treatments for the health problem that is caused, like genital warts or cancers such as cervical cancer. So the cervical cancer or the genital warts can be treated, but there's no treatment for the actual virus itself. There are also pre-cervical treatments that are also available as well. So let's talk about HPV. Just to do a quick pulse check. How is everybody doing out there? Just love to hear from you. I don't want to go too quick. Do you have any questions? I love to hear if you got or see some questions in the chat if you have any questions before we move forward. Okay, so while we're waiting for those questions, let's talk about some data. So looking here at the data, HPV vaccination rates for ages 13 to 17, these stats come from are dated, or the year is 2022. So just want to simply be clear again, the data is from 2022, but this is the most recent data that we could find. So Georgia has increased in the HPV vaccination coverage. So, however, the coverage remains lower than the U.S. average and below the Healthy People 2030 goal, which is 80%, compared to the whooping cough vaccine routinely recommended for adolescents. HPV vaccinations covers lags in the Georgia rates. So as you can see, overall HPV is 76%. The Georgia average is 71. The overall U.S. HPV overall rate is 63, and for Georgia is 62%. And again, when we talk about HPV and cervical cancer, so on the column that says all HPV cancers, the U.S. rate is at 11.8. The Georgia rate is at 12.9. So it's a tick higher. As you can see, males and females, male body individuals with HPV is at U.S. rate 10.8 and females at 12.9. Again, the Georgia average is higher. For males, male body individuals 11.5 and female body individuals at 14.1. So as far as with the cancer rates are concerned as well, again, as you can see that middle section, Georgia is again a tick higher in all columns pertaining to male body individuals and female body individuals. And as well as for cervical cancer, 7.4% for Georgia. The US rate is at 6.5. So again, Georgia's ranks in the top 15 nationally in cervical cancer incidence rates. So being in the top 15 is still a very staggering number. But again, that's why the screenings, that's why are so important. Again, between in that early 20 age range for female body individuals. So let's talk about new cases. So again, the United States, all HPV cases, and I think I just went through this, but again, when we look at new cases of HPV, again, those rates are still a tick higher, 12.9% for Georgia, where the US rate is 11.8. So those rates, and again, these rates are per 100,000 people. So those rates are going to be higher, and that's for Georgia, the state of Georgia as well. This is not a specific county, but for the state of Georgia. So just real quick, before we get to our resources, again, if you have any questions in the chat, I would love to hear some of your questions. Are the stats, was that staggering to you? Was it, for you? I would love to hear your thoughts about the stats. So on the screen, while I'm waiting, so on the screen we have our parent toolkit. So GCAP has a awesome resource called the parent toolkit. So if you scan the QR code on my left, or it's on my right on the screen, it says parent toolkit. You'll get great information. It gives you absolute resources, or even just things to talk to our teenagers about. I have two teenagers out here at my house, and trying to find the right way to have a conversation with them about sexual health risk, and everything, can be daunting. So what our parent toolkit does, it gives you some key terms, key information, things that you and your teenager can go over to be able to have those conversations. Also, we have our TMI app, which is updated and back out. It's a great resource for our young people. So as a parent, scan also for the TMI app. Again, it gives you great information so that where you could talk to your young person, talk to your teenager about risk avoidance, and also risk reduction as far as well. And then Aaron and I would love for you guys to complete this survey. Just again, scan the QR code and take the survey. We would love to hear your feedback about how you felt about this conversation about HPV, and even if there's other topics that you want to hear here in the Parent Cafe. We just love being here, sitting down with you, and having a cup of coffee.
Hey, so listen, y'all shared some amazing information, okay? And I have questions. I was looking to see if, anybody else was going to pop up and have some questions, but maybe I'll be the one to ask the questions to headline and so I've heard of HPV, but I heard about it later in my adult life. I don't recall hearing about it when I was a teenager. But as you, Mr. Lee, I have a teenager at home as well. And I did make sure, she went through all the HPV shots and the prevention and stuff. But outside of regular, like, Google information, we really didn't have any hardcore information to give her, to share with her about, what HPV is. And then just even as being an adult, you know you get the vaccine. They say there's no treatment for it, and it's no test for it, which
Right.
it makes it one of those type of viruses, because like you mentioned as well, you can get tested for like gonorrhea or chlamydia, and then there's a treatment for it. But this is a
Right.
virus that it's no treatment and it's no real test for. Um, and so what does a what happens if, a young person gets, I don't know, like a screening, or they're just getting their well woman's exam, and they
Right.
come back HPV positive. um what are those next steps that they're supposed to take, because it's no treatment for it? So what do they do? Does it just naturally dissolve, or how does that even work?
Right. No, go ahead, Aaron. Because I was going to say, I was going to preface this. We're not doctors,
Yeah, no,
but I love your question.
yeah.
And Aaron, I want to interrupt you. I'm going to let you talk about the other side of it. But just as a reminder, I don't think we said. I don't remember. Maybe I forgot. So the virus is passed along through skin to skin contact, bodily fluids. So again, like many STIs, STDs, there are no symptoms for seen on a person. So you can't look at your partner and say, "Oh, well, they have HPV." You're not gonna. It's not like that. So I think a lot of times, I think remembering it's the bodily fluids in the skin to skin contact. If the person has HPV, has the virus. But I'm gonna let Aaron talk on the other side. Now I'll come back.
Oh, yeah. No, I was just going to emphasize that one, there are indicators and things that doctors will look for in regard to HPV. There's no test for HPV specifically, but there are things that doctors know to look for, and that will push them towards an HPV diagnosis. Again, we're not doctors, so I can tell you exactly what those indicators are, but they do have them. And if you do start to have symptoms such as like genital warts or pelvic inflammatory disease, where you're starting to feel some discomfort in that area, go to your doctor, let them check you out. And again, they will use those indicators as their way of figuring out whether or not you're HPV positive, and they will treat the symptoms based on whatever symptoms you have. So if you have genital warts, then they'll treat the warts. They can't actually rid your body of the HPV itself, but they can treat the symptoms that come.
Yeah.
And so that would be my advice. Go see your doctor.
Okay. Yeah, and I mean that is, you know, naturally great information. You just make sure you're always, getting your checkups, and make sure you're always on point, on task with those things. And like, just for I'm glad that y'all have the parent toolkit, that parents, because sometimes maybe parents, because again, I didn't grow up hearing about the HPV virus. I only really knew about it once I had a child, and her pediatrician um
Mhm.
said something about the vaccine. So
Right.
I I didn't know about it. And
Right.
so with parents with young kids, that don't know about it, y'all providing the parent toolkit, and putting this information out there,
Bless you.
that's great. And I'm so happy that that's something that y'all are doing, because again, bringing awareness to HPV, and then giving the parents the tools to, to be able to have the conversations and navigate around, opening doors about HPV, and like you said, other STIs and STDs, and things of that nature. So that is a good, because everything needs a segue into something else.
Mhm.
And so if they get this
Absolutely.
toolkit to talk about HPV, be like, oh well, let's talk about these other STIs and STDs, and things of that nature. So I believe y'all have
Right.
provided an awesome resource for us parents to be able to open a platform with our kids, which, may be a very uncomfortable conversation to have, with them, both on their end and our end alike.
And I'm going to say, just kind of piggyback on what Aaron said, it's important to be able to have that conversation with your doctor, as well as so that they can say the other symptoms. They can talk about maybe the other effects from HPV as well. So I think, both the parent and child being willing to sit down and have that uncomfortable conversation or with a doctor or getting the information is so important.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And it just goes to show how, having, like I said, having these uncomfortable conversations, it can help, it can, what is it? Streamline prevention.
Mhm.
Because it's better to give them the information before you think they need
Mhm.
it than
Yeah.
having to deal with things on the other side. Because I know
Right.
sometimes with parents, sometimes we can be in our bubble and be in denial. They
Yep.
don't need to know about STDs, STIs, or anything like that right now. They're
Yep.
too young. But honestly, is the younger the younger in which the information can be well received, the better. Because
Mhm.
just because we think they're not there yet, I mean, we know the times and the generations that we're living in now, so it's better to prepare them before something actually happens.
Absolutely.
Sexual.
Great.
It's
Oh, go ahead, Aaron.
I was just going to say sexual education is definitely something that can be built upon. So you can start at a young age with very simple, understanding your body and knowing your body and consent, and move up as the topics become more complex. You move those as they get older. And so you can start very as early as kindergarten, really.
Yep.
and start with simpler topics and move into the more complex STIs and things like that. Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was
Yeah.
going to
And
say, and as they get older, a great way to just kind of have as a conversation starter as parents is just simply, or guardians. It's just simply, you might see something on TV, and then you bring it up to them like, hey, what, I saw this crazy TikTok, or I saw this crazy Instagram post about STIs in Atlanta, and it's blah 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 blah. Like, what do you think about it? And you never know what the conversation might go to. And it's always trying to find those small conversation starters, talking to your teens, because that communication, even though they're looking for that independence, having that communication between parent and teenager is so important. And it's a continual building block process throughout their lives, because they're always going to need us at some point in time. Even raising grown adults, that's what I call it, because I have an older daughter. But even raising older adults, you're still going to have to be able to have those intimate, positive, or classic conversations with them to help them along.
like you said, having those finding that, like you said, watching something on TV or you seen something on TikTok, and
Yeah,
that's your segue to get in to have those conversations, and they're so
absolutely.
important. And a lot of parents and guardians have to realize that you got to sit aside your uncomfortableness to be able to talk to our kids about the
Yep.
real, about what's going on, so they can protect themselves, protect their bodies, and
Yep.
just make sure that they're living productive, healthy lives as young adults that's going to go off in this world and make great decisions, continue to make great decisions once they're from up under your care about their health and their bodies, and the people that they interact with. And I thank
Mhm.
y'all for doing the work. I really do. I thank y'all for doing the work and spreading the awareness, because I feel like if we had more platforms to help spread the awareness, because the data that you shared, um, it's staggering for
Yeah.
the U.S. to be at a percentage, but then just for Georgia to be above, the percentage of the U.S. That's,
Yeah.
if nothing else is alarming and awakening, that at least should be,
Yep.
just to make sure we're doing what we need to do, as adults, as adults, as caretakers, as
Yep.
our village people, to make sure that we're doing what we're supposed to do, doing our part to protect our young people and to protect ourselves.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so, yeah, I thank y'all so much for being a part. Is there anything else that y'all would like to share? Um, yeah.
No, thank you for having us. Mhm.
You are welcome. And what is your website? And just in case people wants to know more about GCAP, what are y'all doing and where are y'all located and things of that nature? What's your website so people can be able to come back later and go look at your website to see what initiatives and things like that that y'all are doing?
It is www.gcap.org. So GCAPP.org.
Okay. All right. Well, yes, again, thank y'all so much for joining. Oh, did you have something to say, Mr. Lee?
Yeah, and I just wanted just to be say because I know that we're having we're going to be down that way in Augusta, down in Richmond County. We're having a community conversation down that way on December 4th. So we would love that's going to be at the Richmond County Health Department. So we would love to have the community come out to be able to have these conversations again. So with the community conversation, we're not coming to we're just coming to present the data, and we're coming to get the community has the answers. We don't have the answers. We're just presenting
Right.
data, and we want the community's input so that these health topics, these adolescent health topics can begin to be changed in the community. Because again, each county in Georgia is a little bit different. Some counties are higher than others. So we would love to have the community come out and just hang with us on December 4th at the Richmond County Health Department.
Okay, absolutely. Absolutely. Once we finish with this, please stay around, please hang on so we can get more additional information about that and so we'll be able to
Absolutely.
push that out into the community. But for right now, y'all listen, December 4th. Um be ready, be prepared to meet us because I will be in attendance as well down at the
Absolutely.
Richmond County Health Department to have this community conversation. Again, thank y'all for joining. Thank y'all for being here. Thanks for all the information. Thanks for the work that you're doing. Yeah, thank you. And y'all, this is this month's Parent Cafe. I hope y'all tune in to next month's Parent Cafe to wrap up this year. Again, always thank you for taking the time out on your lunch breaks to sit with us for a few minutes to learn more about what's going on right here in our communities. So until next month, see y'all later.